The rain hammered the windshield like fists on a coffin lid, turning the empty Texas highway into a blurred ribbon of blacktop under the truck's headlights. Jake Harlan gripped the wheel tighter, his knuckles whitening against the worn leather, as the hitchhiker in the passenger seat finally cracked, sobbing out words that sliced through the storm's roar. "He's going to kill me if he finds me." In that split second, Jake's boot slammed the brakes, the F-150 fishtailing wildly across the median, because damn it, those weren't just tears. They were the raw unraveling of a man who'd been running for his life, and Jake knew that kind of desperation all too well from his own buried secrets. Jake's heart pounded harder than the thunder outside, his broad shoulders tensing under the faded denim jacket that smelled of hay and regret. He'd picked up the stranger 20 miles back at a gas station off I-10, figuring it was just another drifter thumbing for a ride to nowhere, maybe a farmhand down on his luck, or some kid escaping the oil fields. But this guy, with his rumpled button-down shirt clinging wet to his frame and eyes like shattered glass, wasn't just anyone. "Name's Alex," he'd muttered when he climbed in, voice barely audible over the wiper's frantic swipe. Jake had grunted a reply, keeping his gaze fixed on the road, the kind of non-committal rumble that said don't get comfortable. Trust didn't come easy in these parts, not when you'd spent 32 years building walls higher than the Panhandle windmills. Now, with the truck shuttered to a halt on the shoulder, engine ticking like a bomb about to blow, Jake turned to face him. Alex's face was a map of bruises, faded yellow around one cheekbone, a fresh split lip that wept a thin line of blood. His hands trembled in his lap, fingers twisting a cheap gold wedding band like it was a noose. "Get out," Jake repeated, but the words lacked their earlier bite, hollowed out by the storm of Alex's confession. "I ain't in the business of hauling sob stories." Yet even as he said it, Jake's mind raced back to his own ghosts. The summer he'd come out to his old man, only to get a boot to the ribs and a one-way ticket out of the family ranch. Closeted didn't even cover it. Jake was a vault, sealed shut with barbed wire and bourbon. Alex wiped his nose on his sleeve, his breath coming in ragged hitches. "Please, just hear me out. My husband's a cop in Houston. Badge gives him cover to do whatever the hell he wants. I told him last month. I can't pretend anymore. I'm gay, Jake. Been lying to everyone, including myself, for 8 years." He didn't take it well. The words hung heavy in the cab, thicker than the humidity seeping through the vents. Jake's jaw clenched, a muscle ticking under the stubble that shadowed his square jaw. "Gay." The word landed like a live wire, sparking memories Jake had long since drowned in long nights at the rodeo circuit, stealing glances at other cowboys, but never acting on the fire in his gut. He should have driven off right then, left Alex to the mercy of the downpour and whatever demons were chasing him. But something in those hazel eyes, pleading, not pitying, hooked into Jake like a barbed lasso. "Start from the beginning," Jake growled, shifting the truck back into gear but idling there, the rain a curtain shielding them from the world. Alex exhaled, leaning back against the cracked vinyl seat, and began to unravel his threadbare life. It started in a suburb that looked like every other in Greater Houston: manicured lawns, white picket fences, and neighbors who smiled while sharpening their knives behind closed doors. Alex Rivera had married Sarah fresh out of college, both of them fresh-faced idealists with dreams of stability in a city that chewed up the unwary. She was vibrant, a teacher with a laugh that could light up a faculty lounge, and he'd convinced himself it was enough. The wedding was small, the vows sincere, at least on the surface. But deep down, Alex knew the truth. Every kiss felt like a betrayal, every shared bed a battlefield where his desires warred silently with the man he was supposed to be. The cracks showed first in quiet moments. A lingering look at the barista with the easy grin during their morning coffee runs. The way his pulse quickened watching the college quarterback on TV, not the cheerleader beside him. Sarah noticed, of course, women like her always did. "You're distant," she'd say, her voice soft but laced with hurt, curling into him on the couch as if proximity could mend the fracture. Alex would pull her closer, murmuring apologies he didn't mean, his mind miles away in fantasies he dared not name. They tried counseling, date nights, even a weekend getaway to the hill country where the wildflowers bloomed like unspoken promises. But the lie festered, turning their home into a pressure cooker. Then came Mark. Not his husband. God. No, but the catalyst. Mark was the new guy at Alex's graphic design firm, all sharp wit and unapologetic flair, with a rainbow pin on his messenger bag that screamed what Alex only whispered to his reflection. They bonded over late-night deadlines, sharing playlists of indie rock and stories of growing up queer in straight-laced families. One evening, after too many beers at a team happy hour, Mark leaned in close over the pool table. "You ever think about it? Just being you." Alex's laugh was forced, but his eyes betrayed him, tracing the curve of Mark's jaw. That night, alone in his car, Alex finally Googled, "Am I gay?" The search history deleted in a panic, but the seed planted. Weeks blurred into a haze of avoidance. Sarah sensed the shift, her questions turning sharper. "Who's this Mark guy you keep mentioning?" she'd ask, scrolling through his phone when he showered. Alex deflected, but guilt gnawed at him like termites in drywall. He loved Sarah, as a friend, a partner in survival, but not the way she deserved. The breaking point came during Pride Month, of all ironies. Billboards everywhere, rainbows waving like flags of surrender. Alex found himself at a bar on the edge of Montrose, the city's neighborhood, nursing a whiskey and watching couples dance without shame. Mark was there, pulling him onto the floor with a grin that said no judgments. One song turned to three, bodies brushing in the heat, and for the first time, Alex felt seen, truly, achingly seen. He confessed to Sarah the next morning over cold coffee, the words tumbling out like vomit. "I'm gay. I think I always have been. I'm so sorry." Her face crumpled, not in anger but devastation, tears carving tracks down her cheeks. "Why didn't you tell me sooner? We could have, I don't know, figured it out." They agreed to separate amicably at first, counseling, maybe an open arrangement, but then Sarah's brother, a detective with the Houston PD, got wind. Enter Tom Hargrove, her big brother, the family's golden boy, with a badge that made him untouchable and a temper that made him terrifying. Tom had always been protective, but this was personal. "You're not ruining her life," he'd snarled during their first talk, pinning Alex against the kitchen wall with a forearm like rebar. The bruises came after that, subtle at first, then not. Tom moved in under the guise of supporting Sarah, but it was control, pure and venomous. He'd monitor Alex's calls, show up unannounced at work, whisper threats in the dead of night. "Leave quietly, or I'll make sure everyone knows what a freak you are. Your job, your family gone." Alex's parents, devout Catholics in San Antonio, had already cut ties after the divorce papers surfaced. Friends drifted, whispers of scandal rippling through their social circle. The final straw was the night Tom caught him texting Mark, "A simple missed you at the bar." The beating left Alex curled on the bathroom floor, ribs cracked, resolve shattered. He grabbed a duffel, his wallet, and bolted into the night, hitching rides west toward El Paso, where anonymity beckoned like a mirage. By the time Alex finished, the rain had eased to a drizzle, the cab thick with unspoken weight. Jake stared at the dashboard, his calloused thumbs drumming a silent rhythm on the wheel. "Sounds like hell," he muttered, voice rough as gravel. But inside, empathy twisted like a knife. Jake's own coming out had been a bloodbath, his father's ranch hand discovering him with a stable boy years back, the fallout a disinheritance, and a lifetime of solitude. He'd channeled it into roping calves and riding broncs, the adrenaline a poor substitute for the touch he craved. "Where you headed then?" "Some rainbow paradise in California." Alex managed a wry smile, the first crack of light in his storm. "Anywhere but here. Figured I'd start over, new name, new city. Maybe Austin, if I can scrape by." Jake nodded, flicking on the blinker, merging back onto the highway with a growl of the engine. "Austin's got its share of cowboys and queers. Might fit." The words slipped out before he could cage them, and Jake cursed inwardly. Too revealing, too soon. But Alex didn't pounce. He just leaned his head against the window, exhaustion etching lines into his face. As the miles unspooled, conversation ebbed into companionable silence, broken only by the radio's twang of country ballads about lost loves and dusty roads. Dawn crept in like a hesitant lover, painting the sky in bruised purples and golds as they crossed into the Chihuahuan desert's edge. Jake pulled into a roadside diner called the Rattlesnake Grill, neon sign flickering like a warning. "Coffee," he said, killing the ignition. "And eggs. You look like you could use 'em." Alex hesitated, glancing at the lot. Trucks with bumper stickers proclaiming guns, God, and guts. Men in flannel eyeing newcomers like coyotes scenting weakness. But hunger won out, and they slid into a booth slick with grease, the waitress pouring refills without a word. Over chipped mugs and plates of hash browns, barriers cracked further. Jake shared scraps of his life. Born on a failing spread near Lubbock, orphaned young, bouncing between ranches until he carved his own niche breaking horses for outfitters. "Ain't much for crowds," he admitted, stirring sugar into his black coffee. "Keeps things simple." Alex nodded, tracing the diner's Formica scars with his fork. "Simple sounds nice. My life's been anything but." Their eyes met then, a spark jumping the gap, curiosity laced with caution, the kind that simmers before it boils. But peace was fleeting. As they paid up, a shadow fell across the table, a burly local in a Stetson, reeking of stale beer and entitlement. "Heard you boys chatting up a storm," he drawled, voice dripping menace. "City types like you don't last long out here. Especially the special ones." The slur landed like a slap, and Alex froze, color draining from his face. Jake rose slowly, his 6'3" frame uncoiling like a rattler, hand hovering near the pocket knife in his boot. "We got business elsewhere, friend. Best you mind yours." The man sneered but backed off, muttering under his breath as he lumbered away. Outside, adrenaline buzzed between them. "Thanks," Alex breathed, climbing into the truck with shaky legs. Jake gunned the engine, tires spitting gravel. "Ain't nothing. Seen worse." But his mind whirled. Protecting Alex felt primal, a pull he hadn't allowed himself in years. As the diner shrank in the rear view, the road stretched endless, promising more storms ahead. Little did Jake know, Alex carried secrets that could upend them both. A hidden letter from Sarah begging reconciliation, and a tale from Tom's precinct closing in faster than the horizon. The highway hummed beneath the tires, a lullaby laced with urgency as Jake and Alex pushed west, the sun climbing like a judge's gavel. Conversation flowed easier now, barriers eroding under shared silences and stolen glances. Alex sketched on a napkin, bold lines capturing the diner's neon glow, his artist's hands steadying for the first time in days. "Always doodled to think," he explained, sliding it across. Jake studied the drawing, a crude truck barreling through rain, two silhouettes inside. "Looks like us. Reckon that's fate or just good lines." Alex chuckled, the sound rusty but real. "Bit of both." Jake felt it too. That magnetic tug, dangerous as a riptide. He'd sworn off entanglements after a fling gone sour in Cheyenne. A bronc rider who'd whispered sweet nothings post-rodeo, then vanished with Jake's wallet and heart. Trust was a luxury he couldn't afford, not with his nomadic life tethered to no one. Yet here he was, detouring south to Marfa for better roads, really just to buy Alex time. Marfa greeted them with its quirky sprawl, art installations dotting the prairie like alien sentinels, the famous lights a myth locals spun for tourists. They checked into a motel on the cheap, the prism's pink stucco walls peeling like old paint. Jake insisted on separate rooms, but the clerk's leer, "One bed or two, fellas?" hung in the air like smoke. Alex's cheeks burned, but Jake just tossed cash down. "Two. And keep your commentary to yourself." That night, over tacos from a food truck, the past clawed back. Alex's phone buzzed, a burner he'd bought at a Walmart stop, displaying a voicemail from an unknown number. He played it low, Sarah's voice trembling through the speaker. "Alex, please call me. Tom's losing it. He thinks you ran off with some guy. Just come home, we can fix this." The plea twisted like a knife, guilt flooding Alex's veins. Home. The word mocked him, a cage disguised as comfort. "She still cares," he whispered, deleting it. "But going back, that's death, slow or fast." Jake watched him, jaw set. Caring ain't always love. Sometimes it's chains. His own history echoed there. A mother who'd prayed away his confusion with Bible studies, only to die before he could forgive her. The ranch hands who'd roughed him up for acting funny, leaving scars that whiskey couldn't erase. You gotta choose your battles, Alex. Run if you must, but run true. Emboldened, Alex probed. What about you? Ever had someone worth fighting for? Jake's laugh was bitter, eyes distant. Once, kid from the next county over. We met at a fair, stole kisses in the hayloft. Lasted a summer till his pa found out. Shipped him to military school. I got the message loud and clear. Love like that's a liability. The vulnerability cracked Jake open, raw and real, and Alex reached across the table, fingers brushing knuckles. No pull away, just a held breath, the world narrowing to that point of contact. But dawn brought reckoning. A black SUV idled across the street, tinted windows hiding watchful eyes. Tom's reach, Alex knew it instinctively. Panic surged, and they bolted, Jake's truck roaring to life as they fled toward Big Ben's rugged embrace. Tires screamed on the access road, dust plume marking their escape. How'd they track you? Jake demanded, glancing in the mirror. I don't know. Maybe my credit card at the gas station. Or Sarah let slip. Alex's mind raced, piecing it. The voicemail, a trace. Guilt warred with fear. Sarah wouldn't hurt him, would she? But Tom's influence poisoned everything. As canyons rose like sentinels, the chase intensified, the SUV gaining. Jake veered onto a dirt track, the truck bouncing over ruts, suspension groaning. Hold on, he barked, slamming through a washout. The vehicle pursued, a game of cat and mouse through scrub and stone. Bullets? No. Tom played smart, but the threat loomed. Alex's heart hammered. This wasn't just flight, it was war. In a desperate pivot, Jake skidded into a arroyo, killing the engine behind boulders. Silence fell, broken only by their gasps. Footsteps crunched outside. Two men, voices low. Rivera's in there. Boss wants him breathing, but the cowboy's collateral. Alex is blood-iced. Cowboy. They'd clocked Jake too. In the shadows, eyes locked, a pact formed wordless. Fight or flee together. Jake's hand found Alex's, squeeze firm. We end this now. But as the men rounded the rock, guns drawn, not blanks, real steel, a shot cracked the air, and everything shattered. The echo of the gunshot reverberated off the canyon walls like a death knell, dust kicking up in a choking cloud as Jake shoved Alex flat against the parched earth. Stay down, he hissed, his body a shield, muscles coiled from years of wrangling steers gone feral. The bullet had whizzed past, embedding in a yucca with a wet thunk, spines quivering. Two figures advanced, burly, anonymous in tactical vests, faces obscured by the glare of low sun, but Alex recognized the lead's swagger. Not Tom, but his lackey, Ramirez, a PD thug with a grudge from academy days. Rivera, you slimy coward. Come out and face it like a man. Ramirez bellowed, voice amplified by the acoustics, his Glock steady in a two-handed grip. The second goon flanked, scanning with a flashlight despite the daylight, beams slicing shadows like accusations. Jake's mind raced. No clear shot, no cover but rocks and thorns. His own knife felt puny, a ranch tool against firepower. But surrender? Not with Alex trembling beneath him, breath hot against Jake's neck, trust fragile as glass. Alex's whisper cut through. That's Ramirez. He'll drag me back, beat the gay out of me if Tom says. Rage boiled in Jake, prejudice incarnate, the kind that festered in precinct break rooms and backroad bars. Memories flashed, his first lover's broken nose from a hunting accident, courtesy of small-town vigilantes. No, not today. On 3, Jake murmured, palming a loose stone the size of a fist. You run left, toward the riverbed. I'll draw him. Eyes wide, Alex protested. Jake, no. But the cowboy's glare silenced him, fierce and fond in equal measure. 3 came fast. Jake hurled the rock, cracking against Ramirez's knee with a satisfying crunch. The man howled, firing wild, bullets stitching the ground. Alex bolted, heart slamming, thorns tearing his jeans as he scrambled down the embankment. Jake followed, half dragging, half carrying, until they splashed into the shallow Rio Grande tributary, mud sucking at boots. The goons pursued, curses echoing, but the water slowed them, uneven banks a natural moat. Jake and Alex waded upstream, hidden by reeds, breaths sinking in ragged harmony. Minutes stretched eternal, the chase a blur of adrenaline and alliance. Finally, engines faded, Backup called off, perhaps, or lost in the maze. They collapsed on a sandbar, soaked and scraped, laughter bubbling up unbidden from Alex's chest. You threw a rock at a cop. We're dead. Jake grinned, wiping mud from his brow, the expression softening his rugged features. Worth it. Besides, ain't no cop till he catches us. The levity masked the undercurrent. This was no lark. Tom wouldn't stop. His pride demanded reclamation, a trophy to parade before Sarah and the force. As they stripped sodden shirts to dry on branches, Alex caught Jake's gaze lingering, not leering, but appraising, a hunger tempered by care. Scars mapped Jake's torso, whipcord leaned from labor, faded burns from branding irons, a puckered bullet graze on his ribs from a bar fight gone wrong. Rodeo souvenir, Jake said, catching the stare. Or bad luck. Take your pick. Alex nodded, peeling off his own shirt, revealing bruises blooming like toxic flowers across his chest. Tom's handiwork, fingerprints of control. Vulnerability hung between them, thicker than the humidity. I never thought I'd drag someone else into this mess, Alex admitted, voice small. You're good, Jake. Too good for my baggage. Bull, Jake retorted, but gently, stepping closer to inspect a gash on Alex's arm. His touch was clinical at first, dabbing with a bandana from his pocket, but lingered, thumb tracing the edge. Electricity arced, unspoken desires crackling. Jake pulled back, clearing his throat. We gotta move. Big Ben's got rangers. We blend in, hitched to Alpine. They trekked out by dusk, emerging trail-worn into the park's embrace. Towering cliffs glowing ember orange, Ocotillo arms waving like sentries. A ranger station yielded water and wary nods. No questions for two hikers with tall tales. Night fell under a canopy of stars, the Milky Way a spilled diamond trail. They camped rough, fire crackling between them, embers mirroring the tension. Stories unfurled like smoke. Jake spoke of his sister, Ellie, the only family left, married to a rancher in Amarillo, oblivious to his truths. She'd hug it out if she knew, he mused, poking the flames. But some doors stay shut. Alex countered with his art dreams, sketches of queer icons he'd hidden in journals. James Baldwin's gaze, Oscar Wilde's wit. I design logos for straight-laced core, but inside, I want to paint lives like ours, messy, beautiful, unbroken. Dawn brought a fragile peace, but the road reasserted itself. In Alpine, they scored a junker Chevy from a shady dealer, cash from Jake's emergency stash. Wheels mean freedom, he said, tossing Alex the keys for a spell. As they rolled toward Fort Davis, radio crooning Lucinda Williams, doubt crept in. Sarah's voicemail haunted Alex. What if reconciliation was possible? What if Tom was bluffing? And Jake, did this detour mask deeper feelings, or was it just chivalry's long shadow? The twist hit at a roadside payphone in Marfa's orbit. Alex called Sarah, heart pounding. I'm safe, he started, but her sob cut him off. Tom's furious. He hit me, Alex. Said it's your fault, turning our family upside down. Horror flooded him, the abuse redirected, a monster unchained. Get out, Alex urged. Go to your mom's. But as he hung up, a figure watched from the shadows. Mark, his work confidant, who'd traced the burner via a mutual friend. Alex? Holy shit, man, I came to help. Relief warred with suspicion. Mark, with his easy charm and Prius parked nearby, enveloped Alex in a hug that felt like homecoming. Jake observed from the truck, unease coiling. Jealousy? No, caution. Mark's arrival screamed complication. Friend of yours? Jake asked later, over greasy burgers at a drive-in. More than, Alex confessed, cheeks flushing. He gets it, like you do. The admission hung, a triangle forming unbidden. Mark joined the convoy, his car tailing, injecting levity with playlists and quips. But undercurrents swirled. Mark's subtle touches on Alex's shoulder, Jake's clipped responses. Fort Davis's observatory loomed, a dome of secrets mirroring their own. That night, stargazing from a hillock, tensions peaked. Mark pulled Alex aside. I like you, Alex. More than friends. Run with me. To Austin, start fresh. The offer tempted, a bridge to normalcy. But Alex glanced at Jake, silhouetted against constellations, and wavered. It's not that simple. Mark's face hardened. That cowboy? He's straight-laced trouble. Hiding something. The accusation stung, but truth lurked. Jake was hiding, his growing ache for Alex, the way his dreams now featured hazel eyes and tentative smiles. Alone by the fire, he confided in the flames. "What the hell am I doing?" Morning brought clarity, or so he thought, until Ramirez's SUV reappeared, blocking the highway. Bullets flew again, but this time, Mark's Prius took a hit, spinning out. Chaos erupted. Jake ramming the Chevy forward, Alex yelling for cover, Mark clutching a grazed arm. In the melee, alliances fractured. Mark, pain sharpening his edge, accused Jake of leading them into ambush. "You knew the backroads too well." Sowing doubt, Alex defended, but seeds of misunderstanding took root. As they limped into Van Horn, nursing wounds, the group's fragile bond teetered. Love, it seemed, was a battlefield strewn with biases. Mark's urban cynicism clashing Jake's rural stoicism, Alex caught in the crossfire of his heart's divided loyalties. Van Horn's single stoplight blinked indifferently as the battered Chevy limped into a mechanic's lot, oil smoke trailing like a guilty confession. The town was a speck on the map. Motel signs faded, diners serving pie that tasted of dust, but it offered respite, a breath before the storm's next gust. Jake haggled with the grease monkey owner, trading labor for repairs. "Fix the radiator. I'll weld that fence of yours come dawn." The man grunted assent, eyes flicking suspiciously between the trio, but cash talked louder than curiosity. Inside the El Capitan Motel, rooms adjoined like reluctant allies. Mark claimed the middle, bandaging his arm with theatrical winces, while Alex paced the threadbare carpet, phone clutched like a grenade. Sarah's texts, "Tom's got a warrant out. Says I assaulted him during the fight." It's all twisted. His voice cracked, the lie's weight bowing his shoulders. Jake leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed over his chest, the picture of stoic resolve. "Cops protect their own. We keep moving, Odessa by nightfall." But Mark's scoff sliced the air. "Odessa? Oil boom hellhole full of good old boys like you, Jake? No offense, but Alex needs Real help. Lawyers, not more road dust." The barb landed, Jake's eyes narrowing to slits. Urban versus rural, polished versus raw. The chasm yawned, prejudices bubbling like tar. Mark, with his craft beer tastes and TED Talk vocabulary, saw Jake as a relic. Charming in a Marlboro Man way, but suspect, perhaps closeted or worse. Jake, in turn, pegged Mark as a poser. All flash, no fortitude, the type who'd bail when bullets flew. Alex mediated, hands raised. "Enough. We're in this together." But doubt gnawed. Mark's confession under the stars echoed, a siren call to safety. Jake's presence grounded him, an anchor in tumult, yet unspoken fears loomed. What if Jake's protectiveness masked pity or disinterest? Dinner at a taqueria quelled hostilities temporarily. Tacos al pastor dripping with pineapple sweetness, laughter forced over Coronas. Mark regaled with tales of Austin's scene. Drag brunches, queer film fests, a world Alex had only glimpsed in envy. "You'd thrive there," Mark urged, foot nudging Alex's under the table, a claim staked subtly. Jake countered with Horizon stories. "Austin's got lights, sure. But out here? Space to breathe. No crowds judging every step." His gaze held Alex's, weighted with meaning, the firelight from a nearby barrel dance flickering in his blue eyes. Alex felt it, the pull, dual as the desert winds. Later, in his room, insomnia wrestled him. Sketches on motel stationery. Jake's profile emerging from pencil strokes, strong jaw, hidden depths. Across the wall, Jake nursed a beer, staring at the ceiling, wrestling his own demons. "Fool," he muttered. "Falling for a man on the run? Recipe for ruin." Dawn broke with repairs done, the Chevy purring anew. But as they loaded up, sirens wailed, sheriff's cruiser blocking the lot. Ramirez at the wheel, Tom Hargrove shotgun, face a thundercloud. "Rivera, step out slow, we got a tip." Mark's Prius, it hit Alex like lightning. The grays, the call for help, that traced them. Betrayal? No. Mark's phone, left charging at the mechanics, pinging location. Tom's network, vast as the Permian Basin. Panic surged. Jake gunned the engine, but the cruiser rammed, metal shrieking. They fishtailed onto the highway, dust storm raging, Tom's voice booming from a bullhorn. Pull over, or we light you up. Bullets pinged fenders, shattering the rear window in a spray of glass. Alex ducked, shards nicking his cheek. Mark, your car. But Mark, in the back seat, paled. I didn't shit, find my app. The chase devolved into madness, semis swerving, horns blaring, the Chevy weaving through traffic like a cornered Mustang. Jake's driving was poetry in peril, downshifts precise, drifts calculated, years of dirt track racing paying dividends. Hold tight, he yelled, veering onto a service road paralleling freight lines. The cruiser pursued, but a passing train blocked, whistles shrieking triumph. They ditched the Chevy in a scrub lot near Pecos, hiking cross-country under merciless sun. Blisters formed, water scarce, but unity forged in fire. Mark apologized profusely, voice hoarse. I thought it was off. Alex, I swear. Alex nodded, but trust frayed, a thread pulled loose. Jake, ever the rock, scouted ahead, his silence a bomb and a barrier. By nightfall, they holed up in an abandoned windmill shack, wind moaning through slats like ghosts. Rations, jerky, and tepid water divided equally. Conversation turned confessional, walls crumbling. Mark admitted his own scars, disowned by Midwestern parents, rebuilding in Austin's embrace. I chase guys like Alex because they remind me of the boy I was, scared, seeking. Vulnerability humanized him, jealousy ebbing in Jake's chest. Alex, emboldened, bridged the gap. You both saved me today, but this, us, it's more than escape. He looked at Jake, then Mark, heart laid bare. I feel something. For both. And it terrifies me. The admission hung, electric. Jake's hand found Alex's knee, steady. Ain't gotta label it yet. Just be. Mark nodded, the triangle softening into tentative triad, prejudices yielding to possibility. But Dawn delivered the gut punch. A radio crackle from Jake's scavenged CB. Ellie, his sister, broadcasting frantic. Jake? Tom's PD buddies called the ranch. Said you're harboring a fugitive. Pa's old crew's out looking armed. Come home, please. The plea pierced, family ties yanking Jake back. Loyalty clashed with this newfound bond. Rural roots versus the road's call. I gotta go, he said, voice breaking. Clear my name, yours too. Alex's protest died on his lips, understanding the pull, fearing the loss. Mark offered, we'll wait in Odessa. But as Jake slipped away toward a distant truck stop, shadows lengthening, a figure emerged. Sarah, tear-streaked, pistol trembling in her grip. Alex, Tom sent me to bring you back. But I can't. Not anymore. The reunion cracked open old wounds, her confession spilling. Tom's abuse, her complicity in silence, the divorce a mercy she'd clung to. In the emotional torrent, truths tumbled. Sarah's bisexuality, hidden parallel to Alex's, a marriage of mirrors. We were both pretending, she wept. But Tom's shadow loomed. He'd followed her GPS, closing in. Gunfire erupted anew, Sarah shoving Alex behind cover as bullets chipped adobe. Jake, hearing shots, doubled back, rifle procured from a sympathetic rancher, poetic justice, his father's old Remington. The standoff climaxed in dust and desperation. Jake covering fire, Mark flanking, Sarah pleading with Tom over the din. It's over, brother. Let him go. We all deserve better. Tom's face twisted, rage, regret, the badge's corrosion exposed. A stray shot grazed him, and in the chaos, Ramirez lunged, only for Mark to tackle, a brawl of fists and fury. Surrender came ragged. Tom, bleeding, radioing stand down. Tell him, it was a misunderstanding. But eyes said more, defeat, dawning shame. As cruisers arrived, not to arrest, but mediate, alliances realigned. Sarah hugged Alex fierce. Go live your truth. Tom, cuffed for the graze, met Jake's gaze. Didn't peg you for the hero type, cowboy. Freedom's won, but costs tallied. Jake's ranch ties severed, whispers of scandal rippling back home. The trio, now quartet with Sarah's blessing, pressed to Austin, wounds bandaging into wisdom. Prejudices peeled like sunburnt skin, revealing empathy beneath. Austin's skyline shimmered like a promise as the group crested the hill into town, the Colorado River winding below like a silver vein of redemption. The Chevy, patched and protesting, coughed into a parking lot off 6th Street, engines of escape finally idling. Mark's Prius had been abandoned in Pecos, a casualty of the chase, but insurance claims could wait. Freedom tasted sweeter than paperwork. Sarah had peeled off at the outskirts, heading to her mother's in Round Rock with a final, lingering hug for Alex. "Write your story," she'd whispered, eyes bright with her own nascent courage. "And maybe visit as friends." The city enveloped them like a warm embrace. Food trucks wafting barbecue and brisket, murals of fists raised in solidarity splashed across brick walls. Austin pulsed with queerness. Drag queens hawking flyers on corners, rainbow flags fluttering from porches like declarations of War I. For Alex, it was oxygen after drowning. For Jake, a culture shock that itched like wool. "Folks here move like they own the air," he grumbled, shouldering their duffels toward a hostel in East Austin, the kind with bunk beds and communal kitchens buzzing with accents. Mark led, his element reclaimed, booking a triple room with a wink at the pierced clerk. 3 kings, or one big happy family. The joke landed light, easing the post-adrenaline funk. Inside, bags dropped, they collapsed. Jake on the floor, boots kicked off. Alex on the lower bunk, Mark sprawling top. Silence stretched, heavy with unsaid. The chase's echo lingered. Bullets whine, Tom's fractured glare, the raw terror of almost loss. "We made it," Alex murmured, staring at water stains on the ceiling. "But now what?" "Now? We live," Mark replied, voice muffled by pillow. Jake grunted agreement, but his mind churned. Ranch ghosts whispering of failure, Ellie's unanswered calls and noose tightening. He'd called her from a burner in Van Horn. "Sis, it's complicated. Stay clear." Her worry pierced, but explanations waited. First, survival. Morning brought orientation. Mark's network, a web of queer activists and lawyers, mobilized. A coffee shop meetup with Lena, a no-nonsense attorney with tattoos of the Stonewall riot, sketched the legal minefield. Tom's warrants bogus, self-defense docs from Sarah Sealit. But defamation suit? Viable, if you want payback. Alex wavered, compassion clashing vengeance. Just closure. Jake, silent sentinel, absorbed it all, his world view cracking. Cities weren't soft. They fought dirty, with words not fists. Afternoons wandered. Barton Springs' cool waters soothing scrapes. Live music on patios where fiddles wailed laments of love unbound. Jake thawed gradually, trading Stetsons for baseball caps, even tapping his boot to a queer country band's twangy cover of Jolene. Alex watched, heart swelling. Jake's laugh, rare as rain, blooming under neon. Sketches filled Alex's journal. Jake midstrum on a borrowed guitar, Mark debating ethics with barflies, the three intertwined in vignettes of healing. But undercurrents stirred. Mark's flirtations sharpened, brunches where his hand lingered on Alex's, eyes promising Austin's nights. "We could be good together," he'd say, sidelining Jake with inside jokes from workdays. Jake noticed, retreating into stoic shell, longer runs at dawn, silences at dinner. Prejudices resurfaced, subtle. Mark's quip about cowboy repression, Jake's mutter on city slicker drama. Alex mediated, but fatigue frayed edges. Love's geometry proved thorny. The twist uncoiled at a gallery opening Mark dragged them to Alex's old firm sponsoring, irony thick. Canvases glowed under spotlights. Abstract swirls of identity, blues bleeding into rainbows. Amid the chattering elite, a familiar face, Tom's captain, schmoozing donors, badge polished. Panic flickered, but the man approached, not with cuffs but contrition. Hargrove suspended, internal affairs digging deep. "Your statement, Rivera?" Could bury him. Alex nodded, voice steady. "On record." For Sarah. Relief mingled with vertigo as they slipped out, air thick with jasmine and exhaust. On the walk back, Mark pulled Alex into an alley kiss. Impulsive, tasting of Merlot and urgency. Jake witnessed from shadows, gut twisting like barbed wire. Not jealousy alone. Betrayal of the fragile trust built mile by mile. He confronted later, in the hostel's dim hall. "That your plan? Play both fields till one breaks." Mark bristled. "It's not a game, Harlan. Alex deserves choice, not your brooding monopoly." Fists clenched, But Alex intervened, tears pricking. Stop. This isn't about territory. It's us, flawed, figuring. The blow-up vented poisons. Mark's fear of rejection rooted in past abandonments. Jake's in isolation's armor. Alex confessed deepest. I love you both. Differently, but true. Can we try? The triad teetered, then steadied. Boundaries sketched over late-night tacos. Dates separate, honesty absolute. Twists followed. Jake's job offer from an Austin outfitter, breaking horses for film sets. Urban Cowboy, reinvented. Mark's promotion, but with it, travel demands testing proximity. Alex landed freelance gigs, his art evolving. Series on road run lovers, emotions raw on canvas. Climax brewed at Pride. Floats thundering down Congress, confetti storms of color. The trio marched, Jake's arm around Alex, Mark's hand in his other. Defiant, united. But Tom's shadow resurfaced. A protest fringe, anti-queer holdouts hurling slurs, bottles shattering. Chaos swelled, a scuffle pulling Jake in, fists flying against a bigot's sneer. Alex dove after, Mark rallying bystanders. In the fray, revelation, Ellie, Jake's sister, appeared, flown in on a whim, rainbow bandana tied fierce. Saw your face on the news, dummy. Figured you'd need backup. Her hug crushed doubts. Family, reclaimed. But as medics patched Jake's split knuckle, Tom himself emerged from the crowd, not raging, but repentant, Sarah at his side. I was wrong, he choked, voice lost in drums. Lost my way. Therapy, the works. Forgive? No. But, understand. The moment fractured Alex, Mercy's edge sharp. He nodded, words failing. As night fell, fireworks blooming, the group retreated to a rooftop bar, toasts to survival. Prejudices dissolved in starlight. Tom's bigotry, a symptom healed. Jake's isolation, bridged. Mark's impatience, tempered. Love, they learned, wasn't conquest, but constellation, points connecting in unexpected grace. Yet one final turn, a letter from Alex's parents, postmarked San Antonio. Not rejection, but query. Heard whispers. Coffee. No judgments. Hope seed, planted. Months blurred into Austin's rhythm, the city's heartbeat syncing with their own. Slow burns of routine laced with electric highs. Jake settled into his outfitter gig. Dawn rides through hill country trails where live oaks whispered secrets to the wind. His hands, calloused from rains, now sketched crude maps for clients, a nod to Alex's influence. Never thought I'd draw for a living, he'd joke, but pride gleamed in his eyes, the cowboy evolving beyond chaps and lassos. Ellie visited often, her rancher husband thawing with barbecues where brisket bridged gaps, stories of Lubbock shared over Shiner Bach. Mark thrived in corporate chaos, his designs pitching queer-inclusive campaigns that turned heads in boardrooms. Travel pulled him, LA for pitches, NYC for summits, but returns were rituals. Airport dashes, bouquets of wildflowers he'd foraged en route. Missed your chaos, he'd murmur, kissing Alex's temple, Jake's cheek, a triad shorthand for home. Yet under the polish, scars itched, a client's homophobic exec echoing Tom's venom, sending Mark spiraling into late-night vents. Alex's art bloomed fullest, studio space in a warehouse collective, canvases sprawling with narratives of flight and foundling. His Runaway Highways series debuted to murmurs, reviewers praising the visceral queer odyssey, collectors snapping pieces before varnish dried. Galleries meant openings, schmoozes where old colleagues gawked. Rivera, the prodigal. And Mark's pride shone, arm possessive. But Jake hung back, Stetson shadowing unease. Crowds chafed, the art world's gloss a far cry from campfires. Tensions simmered subtle. A weekend getaway to enchanted rock-tested bonds. Granite dome under full moon, sleeping bags zipped tandem. Laughter echoed. Mark's ghost stories, Jake's star charts. But dawn brought fracture. Alex woke to whispers. Mark pressing Jake on commitment. You're all in with him but me? Side dish. Jake's retort stung. Earn it, city boy. Ain't handouts. Alex overheard. Heart fracturing. Misunderstandings. Weeds in love's garden. Confrontation brewed over campfire remnants. I'm not choosing, Alex insisted, voice steady amid embers. But we adapt, or wither. Tears traced his cheeks, vulnerability a mirror. Mark deflated, admitting envy. Jake's your anchor. I'm the sail, useful, but replaceable. Jake, gruff, extended a hand. Bull, you're the wind, pushing us forward. Without it, we're stuck. The olive branch mended, prejudices aired. Mark's urban superiority yielding to Jake's grounded grit. Jake's wariness softening to Mark's vibrant spark. Back in Austin, growth accelerated. Therapy sessions, group at first. Lena recommending a queer counselor who unpacked Tom's shadow. Jake's paternal wounds. Mark's abandonment echoes. Alex journaled, pages filling with gratitude lists. Jake's steady gaze. Mark's infectious laugh. The triad's improbable harmony. Twists peppered. Ellie's pregnancy announcement. Jake uncle-to-be, prompting a road trip home. Trio in tow. Lubbock's dust welcoming. The ranch visit climaxed cathartic. Old hands. Once sneering, now nodding respect. Heard you took down a badge, Harlan. Ballsy. Pa's grave visited. Wildflowers laid. Jake's toast raw. Missed you, old man. Wish you'd seen this. Tears fell unashamed. Alex and Mark flanking. Hands linked. A family forged. But climax loomed larger. Tom's trial. Headlines screaming, cop's closet bigotry exposed. Alex testified, voice unwavering. Fear doesn't justify fists. Tom's gaze, across the courtroom, held remorse. No denial, just defeat. Verdict, guilty, badge stripped, sentence light, but life-altering. Sarah texted post-verdict, he's broken. Thank you for freeing us all. The ripple hit personal. Mark's firm, buoyed by the scandal, landed a PD reform campaign, irony's gift. Jake proposed expanding the outfitter, queer-friendly retreats. Ropes for trust falls, trails for truths. Alex's series sold out, proceeds funding a scholarship for young queer artists fleeing homes. Yet conflict crested at a triad milestone. 6 months marked with a private vow under Congress bridges bats, leathery wings a chorus. Words exchanged, promises of presence, not possession. But post-ceremony, doubt struck Alex, a gallery scout offering solo show in NYC, 3 months away. It's huge, he breathed, but fear shadowed, distance testing threads. Debate raged nights. Mark pragmatic. Go, conquer. We'll visit. Jake hesitant. Roads long alone. Remember our miles. Alex wavered, heart torn. Opportunity versus intimacy. The decision crystallized in crisis. A hate crime downtown. A trans kid beaten, echoing their scars. Alex channeled it into activism, deferring the show. Art waits. Lives don't. Climax unfolded at a vigil. Candles flickering, chants rising. Jake spoke impromptu. We run. We fight. We love anyway. Voice cracking, crowd roaring. Mark organized, megaphone in hand. Alex sketched live, portraits immortalizing resilience. In the throng's swell, a pickpocket swiped Mark's wallet. Minor, but sparking chase through alleys. Jake tackling the thief. Alex alerting cops, ironic allies now. Adrenaline crashed into clarity. The triad, unbreakable. Back home, tangled in sheets. Not passion's fire, but comfort's glow, they vowed adaptation. Prejudices purged. Jake embracing city's pulse. Mark ranch weekends. Alex balancing dreams with devotion. Resolution dawned gentle. NYC show rescheduled, collaborative. Jake's photos, Mark's graphics woven in. Parents' coffee became dinner, tentative bridges to San Antonio. Ellie named her son Harlan, after Jake, for the uncle who taught forgiveness. Love, they learned, was no straight highway. Curves, detours, storms. But together, they navigated, headlights cutting dark, toward horizons unbound. A year unfurled like a well-worn map, creases of challenge smoothing under the weight of chosen paths. Austin had woven itself into their bones, the humid summers yielding to crisp falls where live oaks shed gold, the city's eclectic pulse a soundtrack to reinvention. Jake's outfitter, dubbed Horizon Trails, thrived. Weekend warriors and queer retreats blending roping lessons with vulnerability circles, testimonials flooding email, found my footing on horse and heart. He'd bulked a touch, city food rounding edges, but the Stetson stayed, a talisman of roots reclaimed. Mark's ascent mirrored Ambition's arc. Promoted to creative director, his campaigns, bold, boundary-pushing, earned industry nods, a GLAAD Award plaque gleaming on their shared wall. Yet success shadowed burnout. Late nights bled into dawns, his vibrancy dimming to flickers. "It's the game," he'd sigh, rubbing temples, but Alex saw the toll. Mark's laughter rarer, touches tentative. Alex's star rose steady. Runaway highways toured galleries, a book deal inked for memoir illustrations, whispers of TEDx invites. His studio buzzed, apprentices shadowing, young queers with stories mirroring his flight. But acclaim amplified doubts. Imposter syndrome's whisper, "You're the token survivor." Therapy anchored him, sessions now solo, unpacking the runaway's reflex to bolt at bliss. The triad deepened, rituals rooting, Sunday hashes at Magnolia Cafe, Eggs Benedict and eavesdrop dreams, full moon hikes where constellations charted futures. Intimacy evolved, not conquests, but constellations. Jake's quiet back rubs easing Mark's knots, Mark's playlists serenading Jake's runs, Alex's sketches capturing fleeting joys. Prejudices, once thorns, now compost. Jake hosting drag bingo nights, Mark mucking stalls with glee, Alex bridging with art that humanized divides. Twists, threaded whimsy, and weight. Ellie's boy, little Harlan, toddled into their lives via video calls, chubby fists waving, Uncle Jakey. Prompting Jake's first tattoo, a tiny lasso encircling stars, inked in Austin's queer parlor. Sarah reemerged, dating a barista with a poet's soul, their brunches laced with laughter over Tom's reform. Community service, AA meetings, a halting apology letter Alex framed as cautionary relic. Climax brewed insidious. A corporate merger at Mark's firm, brass demanding, toned-down queer ads, broader appeal, less. Agenda. Mark resisted, memos flying, but retaliation loomed. Demotion threat, echoing closeted shoves. Nights frayed, arguments spilling, Mark's pride clashing executive chill. "It's sell out or starve," he raged, pacing their loft. Jake, pragmatic, fight smart, inside out. Alex, empathic, "Your voice matters. Don't silence it." The breaking point. A pitch meeting where execs nixed a trans-inclusive spot, too risky for Heartland. Mark walked out, resignation letter drafted by dawn. Fallout cascaded, finances strained, resentment bubbling. Mark accusing Jake of easy outfitter life. Jake retorting Mark's ego trips. Alex mediated, but exhaustion cracked him. "We're fracturing." Again. Retreat called. A road trip echo, looping back to Big Ben's canyons, tents pitched where bullets once flew. Under star-pricked skies, bonfire confessions purged. Mark admitted fear. Success was armor. Losing it. "I'm naked." Jake shared vulnerability. "Ranch taught me bend or break." We bend. Alex revealed core ache. "Running defined me." Staying? That's the art. Vows renewed. Careers pivoted. Mark freelancing, consulting for nonprofits. Jake expanding retreats. Alex mentoring, book on hold for balance. Resolution rippled outward. Tom's full redemption arc, a PD diversity panel, his testimony, badge blinded me. Aired on podcasts, ripples reaching their door. Forgiveness, not absolution, but bridge, a neutral coffee, Tom's hand extended, Alex clasping brief. "Growth suits you," Alex said. Tom nodded, eyes clear. "You taught me that." Family mended fuller. Alex's parents, thawing over holidays. Thanksgiving turkey yielding to questions on Austin life. Tentative pride in his book jacket photo. Ellie's ranch visit. Harlan the Tyke riding piggyback on Jake. Mark charming with urban tales. Final twist, gentle, a proposal, not rings, but ritual. On the anniversary of that rainy pickup, Jake unearthed a locket, silver, etched with roads converging. Not ownership, he rumbled, fastening it round Alex's neck. Mark adding a key pendant, Alex a sketched map. But direction. Together. Years later, reflections in mirrors. Jake graying at temples, roping with apprentices. Mark's agency, queer-led, awards lining shelves. Alex's gallery permanent, highway hearts a beacon. Love's drama, misunderstandings navigated, biases buried, climaxes conquered, forged not perfection, but profundity. In quiet moments, Alex traced the locket, smiling at the cowboy who'd braked for a stranger's storm. Some highways circle back, others lead home. Theirs did both, endless and true.